welcome everybody to Everlasting Veteran. I am your host, Ryan Landry. I am joined in studio by an amazing guest, a United States Marine Corps veteran, CEO of VetCom.us, congressional candidate for California's 49th District, and author of The Race to Save America, Kate Monroe. Thank you so much for coming on. How are you?
I'm so good, and thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, so we got a lot to unpack.
I do, yeah.
We got Kate for Congress, VetCom, The Race to Save America, and then your kind of insights into being a veteran and going through the process and trying to help veterans and everything else. So it's going to be a great, exciting show.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited. Let's get in it.
Yeah. So I just want everybody, the viewers, and listeners, to be able to get a little glimpse into Kate and her run for Congress to help American people and to help the veteran community and homeless community in San Diego, which you're very passionate about as well. So
Yeah.
we're gonna jump right into that real quick so you guys can see.
We're facing a lot of the woke ideology. A lot of policies that have changed here in San Diego have led us to a place where it's not as safe in San Diego as it once was. We're the nation's greatest city, keep it classy, San Diego, and we have not done a good job of that over the last few years. I think that it's time for a Republican to step in, and I think a lot of people, not just people on the right, are looking for us to get a little back closer to center with our policies here in San Diego. I'm Kate Monroe. I'm running for the 49th Congressional District here in California. That would be Upper San Diego County, North San Diego, all the way to South Orange County. And the awesome part is Camp Pendleton is right in the middle, that Marine Corps base there. And being a female Marine Corps veteran, that's a really big deal. There has never been a female Marine in Congress or in the Senate or anywhere else in these upper leadership roles here for the country. So these are some big historic things that could happen if and when I arrive in that seat.
All right. So everybody kind of gets a little picture. You're going to possibly make history, and, in doing so, help a lot of people. So you had that interview and you talk a lot about homelessness and helping out San Diego. What does it mean to you, running for Congress and really helping the community?
Well, it means a lot to me. I think once you've served your country, you're kind of already set up to continue servicing your country. And I look at where I live here in San Diego, and there's a lot of things going wrong. We have a huge homeless problem, drug problem, a lawlessness problem in both South and North San Diego County. We also have one of the largest veteran populations in the entire country here in San Diego, and $4.5 billion a year goes uncollected in VA benefits. And that's what I specialize in. If you add that to the fact that we're a border town and we essentially have an open border. And lastly, I am the mother of a 6-year-old little son. And this year he came home from kindergarten and said he could be a little girl, he could marry a little boy. And he was only in kindergarten when he came home with that ideology from school. So I think once you look at just where you live, but how the politics and policies of where you live affect the rest of the country, you have to just say, I can't just watch this train wreck about to happen. I got to get everybody off the track safely. And safety is a big deal to me. So it means quite a lot to me. I'm a very busy lady. I am the CEO of a publicly traded company. And it's going to take a lot of my bandwidth and time away from my family to serve my country in this way. But I think I'm the best suited person for the job. And so I feel really good about making this step. And I really feel inevitably it will be me that will take that seat. And like you said, make history. I mean, there's never been a woman in the seat, and there's never been a female Marine Corps, female Marine in the history of Congress or the Senate. So some really big things will happen when I arrive there violently, as we do as Marines.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, we talk about a lot of time in the veteran community. The homelessness is a big thing as well. It's not just nationwide, but, the veteran homeless population makes up a lot of the population in the U.S. And it's something that's talked about a lot, but it seems like not a lot's being done about it.
Yeah.
What would you suggest? I mean, you're trying to curb the homelessness just in San Diego, and trying to sweep it through in the US as well, of, really helping out the veteran community. If you get elected and get into that seat, what are kind of some of the first steps you look on taking?
I mean, the good news is I have a very well thought out solution. I don't know if you know this, but there is enough veterans that are homeless in the country to fill a football stadium. To fill a football stadium. I mean, you could imagine sitting there looking around, and every face you see is one of your fellow veterans that is homeless. The magnitude of that seems so daunting, and I think that's why people don't tackle it, right?
Yeah.
It's such a big problem. Where do you even start? And so I started looking at it like, how could we help all homeless people? But how could we start with veterans and that help all homeless people more? So here's my idea. So in the military, there's the concept of a FOB, a forward operating base. And we can, as you know, erect one of these almost overnight. In 3 days, you can build a damn airport overseas somewhere. So my idea is we get somebody to subordinate their land, that they're not using their land. They would get some money for doing that. But we would erect essentially a FOB, a base camp. We would bucketize everyone into the actual reason that they are homeless. So we can move them through a process. There would be a cafeteria, commissary, chapel, rehab units. All the services could circle there. Would be showers, just like there are, when we're forward operating somewhere in
Mhm.
the world. And I think by doing that, putting everyone in one place, you have a better chance of meeting everyone's needs in a timely manner. One, two, keeping the public safe, spending less resources as you do it. But the number one thing by having veterans go first is they are already accustomed to that, type of environment. They would
Right.
thrive there. They would probably do best there. They would love to work there. They would have purposeful work, which they need. They would feel needed. They would have camaraderie, and they would help bring all the rest of these homeless through their transition. So I think that that is the solution. But here in San Diego, we have 1,000 people on our streets that are veterans that are homeless. 1,000.
Mm.
It's a lot. I go out and talk to people, and every few people I talk to is a service member. So I'm the executive director of House the Heroes, and we get those that are in transitionary housing all the funding from the VA for their compensation so that they can get their housing on their way out of transition. So that would be my plan. Base camp would be what I would propose.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I mean, transition is a very hot topic in the veteran community. People are starting to realize the transition out isn't the same as the transition in. There's
Oh,
more time, money, and effort spent, transitioning you into the military, but not as much, it seems, getting out of the military, which a lot of times leaves you kind of lost, along your way, because, you spend, 3+ months, training up, getting into the military. Once the contract's done, they do have like taps and a couple other stuff to be able to help with transition. But the time period to be able to actually transition out doesn't seem to be equivalent to that of going into the
no.
military.
Absolutely, it is not. I've been saying this on the news a lot lately. Not only do we not do a good job transitioning service members out, we do an even worse job illuminating what services are available to them as they transfer out. And if they do end up homeless, we almost never find them. We do such a poor job. I
Right.
would propose that we take the same amount of time in as we take on their way out. There's a lot of good skill bridge programs, but we don't advertise them very
Right.
well. I mean, it's like there's almost no runway for success unless you retire from the military or get a high rating on your way out. It's like, hey, thank you for your service. And these guys go from the service to a buddy's couch or renting a room, don't find a job, start sleeping in their car gets taken, now they're sleeping on the street. It's a very short runway that they have. And I think that we need to do a better job, as a whole in the military transitioning people out. Or how would we do a better job retaining them? Not everyone is suited to get out. If we did a better job with retention, more people could retire. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And, I talked about it a couple times with a couple other guests of, like VA benefits and stuff like that. I'm a disabled veteran myself. And, the process to get into the system, once you're in it, it's a little bit different. Your mindset changes a little bit. It's a little bit more positive. But the just getting into the system is very discouraging because of the amount of hoops that you have to jump through and how long it takes a lot of times. And, I'm still going through some VA appointments for some other stuff, but it's discouraging a lot of times for veterans, and there's not really a good plan kind of immediately before you disconnect from the military.
So you're speaking to the benefit side, the Veteran Benefits Administration. Yeah. I
Right.
mean, I did not know that you could even get benefits till I was out for 11 years. It was only when I tried to go get some college funding and I did not know your GI Bill expired. It expired literally like a day before I wanted to use it. And so I actually went to go get rated the first time just so I could get voc rehab. I had no idea. And back when I did it, you needed a mountain of paperwork, your whole records. It was like a daunting task. And I actually forgot I did it. It took a year. I I forgot I even made it. So I, years and years later, decided to create VetCom because I said, there's too much BS red tape. People are working too damn hard. Nobody's doing a good job telling all the people that have nothing that there's a path forward. And now with VetCom, our average rating takes 90 days. People can make their claims with us on Zoom from the comfort of their own home. Their first round of claims, we typically don't even need their record because of the order in which we make their claims. We do all the low-hanging fruit, the stuff that's obviously in their record first, and then we mount up, more paperwork as we go. But we like to get people early success so they can get excited, so they can get traction, and we coach them through every exam because everything takes coaching. But you're going to go to this exam hoping that you even understand the questions they're asking you. I mean, we
Right.
had some people before they met us, like let's say you go to a PTSD exam and no one prepares you. We're going to start talking about your childhood. You're going to start talking about your horrible divorce or something else that's going to preclude you from getting your benefits. So we
Right.
just make sure veterans understand you don't need to work this hard. It doesn't have to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. I think we're the best of both worlds between free, which really isn't free, and I'll get into that, and then the guys that charge thousands and thousands of dollars. So I agree with you. We need to do a much better job, and that's why I created VetCom to shore up that position there.
Yeah. Yeah. And before we kind of get into jumping into what all VetCom is about and, what you do, I do have a short video that just shows how fierce this Marine Corps veteran is, and, that she's ready to take it to whatever level she needs to help other veterans.
Your fellow veterans are sending you a message, and that is for 5 minutes, go look in the mirror, realize it's over, and resign. Do not wait until May. Resign today.
Very, very powerful message earlier this year. I did a little research on what was going on and stuff. You're not afraid to get up front and say enough's enough.
Yeah.
And it's very inspiring to have, somebody that, veterans can feel like are in their corner. Because I feel like a lot of times, especially with, Congress and the government lately, there's a lot of trust that's been lost. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, oh, I agree 100%. It's like some clown world we're living in, and they just try to gaslight the general public, thinking that everyone is so stupid they'll never do any of their own research. It's embarrassing, actually. If you just watch the news, you go, "How on earth are these our elected officials?" Yeah, I agree. Totally an embarrassment.
yeah. Yeah, so kind of dive into, I mean, you have VetCom, and, a lot of it's geared towards helping veterans with their benefits and everything else. But, is there anything else that, when people go and check it out, are you going to be able to look for certain stuff that maybe isn't, right on the landing page?
Well, I think the stuff that's not right on the landing page is we have so many, we've helped thousands of people, and we have a money back guarantee, and we've never had to give a refund. Right? So if we can't get you where you're trying to go, you get your money back. We've never had to give a refund, which means we're batting 1,000 at this point in time. But I think what people won't see is we don't just help veterans get their VA disability compensation. We have veterans call us and say, "I got an other than honorable discharge. I can't even get help," and that isn't even necessarily our core business. But over 100 times, we've helped elevate veterans, character of discharge. That's not even something that we charge for. That we just do. We field probably 600 or 700 calls per month from veterans and their families, just trying to ask us questions to navigate what is the PACT Act, what is this, what is that never actually end up becoming our clients. They just don't have another outlet. We have people that reach out to us that are members where their spouse died and they're so sad. We're the only people that talk to them. We talk people off the ledge of suicide. We help people successfully win voc rehab. We help veterans ask me all the time, because I'm a veteran entrepreneur, how do I, go and start my own business? Where do I get funding? Sometimes I even invest in their little core businesses that they started.
Right.
So there's a lot of kind of unseen things that we do here at VetCom. But I think one of the biggest things that we've been working on, I helped craft the framework of the Veteran Entrepreneur Act, because a lot of vets said, hey, the GI Bill is great, but I didn't want to go to school. So I got this cool benefit that I was never going to use. I don't have a child to pass it on to. And so I said, what if you could use your GI Bill or your voc rehab to start a business? And so we crafted this whole framework where, and it's about to get voted on. So, I mean, I worked on this legislation for 2 years, and that's something that nobody really hears about, but that's going to be a huge deal for veterans that we incubated here at VetCom. So a lot of, amazing things I feel like we do for the community.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the things a lot of people don't talk about with transition. I mean, college, necessarily isn't it for everybody, and it also depends on what stage of life you're in.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're younger, and you're getting out, college is the way to go. Sometimes people join because of that benefit, but you may be older getting out, and going through college, then going to start the business. By then, you got enough life experience where you could start the business right away. And if that benefit's provided, to be able to do so with your life experience, you might as well be able to.
Oh, I agree, because I think people should have more options. And I know a lot of CEOs and people that are directors and vice presidents at companies that are former military. We know how to get things done. We have a different work ethic, a different mindset. And I think if we provide those kind of opportunities, that would assuage a lot of the suicide, the lack of purposeful work, people getting pigeonholed into corporate America where maybe they don't belong. If somebody can have their own, even if it's a small business, even if it's maintenance business. I mean, I've helped people start dog walking,
Yep.
all those kinds of little businesses, but they make good money and they feel, purpose in it. So yeah, I agree. I think that those kind of things need to be on the table, on the menu.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to really the true American dream. Be able to own your own business, be able to make, money and create your own schedule versus, being forced into, your typical 9 to 5.
Yeah.
If you don't have to do that, you can do a better avenue approach of, being able to provide for your family, and, also take care of your health at the same time. I think it's a purposeful mission to be able to do that. And, hopefully everything kind of gets passed,
Yeah.
and like I said before, I mean, a lot of veterans, not just veterans, but American people really are kind of disappointed in the government, feel like we've been lied to. We feel, you have like, that song, I'm sure you heard it. Oliver Anthony came out with the
Oh,
song,
yeah.
Rich North of Richmond, and it spoke true to like everybody, all the American people. It was exactly what we're feeling. We're being lied to. Things aren't the same, and, just tell us the truth, Um, and really, I mean, that comes down to like your book, The Race to Save America, because we are at a crossroad right now where we really need to, adopt some change
Oh, yeah.
and make some stuff happen, and this next video, with the Race to Save America, just kind of gives you a little bit of insight what you're fighting for and what the American people are seeing. And it's absolutely crazy that, our country has come to this.
I agree.
China interfered with the 2020 election on behalf of Joe Biden.
I mean, a very powerful intro video, on your your website, the Race to Save America, in the book that you've written, and it speaks true to what's going on right now. And there's a lot of the public that, one, they're afraid of what's going on. They don't know how to do anything about it. There's some that go, well, my vote really isn't going to count. And for the most part, I mean, I keep politics for the most part off the show. However, when it comes to the well-being of our country, our veteran community, it's an important topic to talk about,
Yeah.
because our overall success as a country and even a veteran community depends on who's in office. And
Yes.
it's the unfortunate crossroad that we have to kind of pay attention a little bit more to politics. And I think the pandemic was one of those things that people kind of woke up a little bit and realized, we're getting the sheets pulled over our head here, and really need to look at what's going on.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I actually go out and visit the border and visit these homeless people and see the drugs and see the lawlessness with my own eyes and go do work. When there's people on the TV that want to pretend like our border is closed, it's not closed. People want to pretend like we don't have homeless, drugs, lawlessness, sex trafficking. Yes, we absolutely freaking do. And
Yeah.
trying to make the American public just force fed eat all this news that we do. Like, if you look at every problem, if it has an easy solution, but we're not doing it, why? If it's easily fixed, why would we not fix it? I will tell you. If you just look at everything, if you attach industrial complex, homeless industrial complex, audience, industrial complex means those who get power or profit from that problem staying in play. So you wonder why there's so many damn homeless people, because all the money goes to making more of them so that they can do this round robin on you and take more and more of your money and self-feed this industry. You wonder why the border's open. Power, they want votes, profit, they want drugs and children sex trafficked across our border, period. So you need to vote out all these old cronies, all these swamp rats, all these disgusting human beings who want to profit at your expense. It's disgusting. I think that's why I'm on the news so much, because I'll say that is bullcrap. That is nonsense. This Marine Corps veteran will not stand for that bull crap anymore. And people, that's what people want. Niceties, diplomacy, that ship has sailed. That is old news. That's a decade ago nonsense. What people want is somebody who will go to war for them and will step on that battlefield. And like I tell people, I'm the kind of friend, I will arrive violently on your behalf and get shit done for you that other people will not. That is exactly what we need, and you're exactly correct. All the lies that you have been told, they're exactly that. They're just a bunch of bullcrap lies, and I cannot wait to get to Congress and shine a light on them and shine like a bat signal out to the sky, so all of you sitting at home can go, "Ooh, it's go time. It's time to go do something about this." So pick me.
Yeah.
I will go there and do what you want and what
Yeah.
you need.
Yeah. And I was thinking, I'm like, a lot of, I'm on the East Coast, and, Connecticut's a very Democratic heavy state for many years, and it does the flip, back and forth to Republican once in a while. But, the views, from people on the East Coast of what California is just very liberal. They let anything go, and they're just, essentially letting the state go to waste. And, and it is at the expense of the American people, and it's
Yes.
unfortunate because, California is a beautiful state. A lot of people would like to go to vacation there, but a lot of people can't afford to live there, and, you see in the warm climates, California, Florida, Hawaii, that's where you're going to have, your most relevant in your face homeless population, because it's warm, you
Correct.
know, and people see it, and then they say, well, oh, we have a problem, but they don't do anything about it. And they kind of shove them off to the side, push them to a different county instead of actually tackling the problem, the root of the problem. And, I think you have a lot of good points, and people can go and check out what your points are at Kate for Congress and everything else that you have going on.
Yeah, I mean, and also if you go and get the Race to Save America, it outlines the 10 biggest problems we have as a country and 10 solutions. I am absolutely not a person who's going to add to the problems that we have. I'm going to say, hey, this is a problem that I have a plan for. I mean, I really think there's not enough people with plans. There's a bunch of nice people that say nice things that don't matter, and they're never going to go do anything. They're going to spend all their time raising money, and they're never going to go talk to people. Go read that book and you'll figure out, hey, I sort of like these solutions. Maybe I should put that lady there and she can go get all these solutions on our behalf.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even recently, I mean, you know, you can go on there, you check, you're going after Gavin Newsom, you know, and I mean, you're fighting the California homelessness crisis. You're offering solutions, and you're also, I mean, the list goes on. Sounding alarm, military recruiting crisis, veterans being deported.
Yes, isn't that insane?
People fighting for this country, then being deported.
Yes.
You know,
there's 500,000 of them in the United States right now that already served our country that we never made into citizens. My plan to fix that, it would fix it in 2 seconds. There's absolutely no reason for any of that. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and it's absurd to me to think that somebody is devoted enough, one, for the American dream, you know, and fight for this country, and the country cannot even repay that debt. You know,
Our country doesn't repay any of its debts. That's what our country does. Yeah.
right? Yeah, and it's time for change. People are sick and tired, like we said, being lied to, mistreated. The hardworking people of the country continuing to being taxed on tax on tax, you know, and at the end of the day, you kind of look to your left and you look to your right, and you have people abusing the system because they know, okay, well, you're going to pay it because you're the hardworking man. I'm not going to do anything. You know, it becomes very frustrating, and a lot of people don't talk out about it. They'll talk amongst themselves, but they won't come out in a public forum and actually talk about it. And you do that very well.
Well, I appreciate that because I think that I say things that other people wish they could say. And I would tell everybody listening, this isn't a message to you whether you're on the left or the right. Partisanship does not matter when it comes to safety. You are as unsafe as a Republican or a Democrat when you're walking down the streets of the homeless situation here in San Diego. You could be on the left or the right and get sold drugs here. You could be on the left or the right and your kids are going to be taught that they could be a completely different gender when they're 5. I haven't met a single person that doesn't have overlapping, right? There's not 2 rings of people. There's one bucket of people that wants fiscal responsibility, that wants the economy fixed, that wants a closed border. My husband is a Turkish immigrant Democrat. He doesn't want an open border. He doesn't want wokeism in his child's school. We're all a lot more alike than we think. So start thinking and listening to what people say and what they have already done, and they'll show you what they're going to go do. And I will go keep all of our kids safe, all of our streets safe, not just for the red side, right? It does not work like that. When you sign up, as you know, you go serve your country, you serve for everybody. So for me, everybody is worth saving. I don't care what side you're on. I'm the kind of person that will fix this for us all.
Yeah. Yeah. And it comes down to, I mean, I talked to somebody before and I actually saw an interview. It kind of made sense. I mean, you know, you have, you know, say Turkish American, Irish American, African American. You take the front off of that, you're
They're
American.
just Americans.
You're just Americans.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Why do we have that front title to it? There's no purpose to it. I mean, yeah,
it's made up to divide people. That's why.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can be prideful from where you come from, your heritage, everything else like that. But if you live in this country, you're a citizen in this country, you're an American, point blank.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, I actually wrote this speech and I delivered it to somebody on my staff. And she said to me, she goes, there's only one word I would take out. And I said, what word is that? And I knew the word, but I made her say it. She goes, well, you said American. And I said, sweetheart, we are Americans. Both, you were even born here. I was born here. Everyone who is currently a citizen here is an American. The fact that you're worried about me saying the word is exactly why I'm running for Congress. Right. That ridiculousness, that petty cancel culture, we're trying to strip away everything good about our country. I said in one of my Fox interviews, if you try to hold on to first very tightly, it's not long before you end up last. We need to prioritize our country and our citizens and our children over everyone else in the world. We need to bring that American first spirit back here. Like, I can't wait till I see flags waving and USA chants. Like, I grew up in the Reagan era. I miss that. I hate that that's not here for my child, and I want to help usher that era back in.
Yeah. Yeah. And, everybody, shares same common goals. You don't have to, it's just like your friends. You don't agree on everything, but you can still, be together. You can still coexist together. You can still get stuff done together. The issue right now is they're trying to create so much separation and divide because of other agendas that, they're trying to sweep under the rug, and I
Well,
mean,
can
we
you
could go,
imagine what would happen if there wasn't all that divisiveness?
yeah,
If everybody was looking at the same place at the same time, you think they would get away with this bull crap?
no,
They absolutely would not. Everybody would look at the same problem and go, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing this absolute nonsense?" But they create an issue. They put that wedge there on purpose so that they can do whatever they want and take all your money and get all the profit and power that they want while we're so busy hating our neighbor that we don't even hate. We
yeah.
don't even hate our friends. It's all of it is just made up. It's actually sickening. I would suggest everybody look the same direction for 5 minutes. Imagine how much that we could change in this country.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I've talked to my brother many times. We actually have arguments about it. And we've, this is before, but, we've kind of agreed to disagree, because, there's a lot of, I would say, media driven political agendas to be able to get the American people to actually argue with each other and create separation divide within households,
Yes.
and that's really truly the agenda, the trickle down effect from it to bring it to the voting polls. So there's such a divide, that the country just, they go, well, you guys can't choose. We're going to have to choose for you, you
Oh,
know?
sure. They
And
make you believe in California that your vote literally doesn't count. I would tell everyone watching this, no matter which side you're on, go vote. Because especially if you're a veteran, you're likely a veteran or a veteran adjacent. If you're watching this, you literally fought for everyone's right to do this thing.
yeah,
That's your contribution. If I'm going to go take the hill, right, and do this whole congressional run for us, you can go vote and make sure your ballot gets there on time. Because the thing is, like, imagine this. If everybody really went and voted, the recall would have happened. We could have recalled Gavin Newsom, but everybody stayed at home and we ended up barely losing that. I mean, I'm telling you this right now. If everybody voted, I could run for governor of this state and win. You know why? Because I'm the only person who would be willing to face this homeless, demic, drug, lawlessness, BS and clean it up. But you know what it would take? Everybody to go do that one thing just to go vote. So don't let them take that last thing from you. Take it back as hard as you can and make sure that you arrive violently at the polls and place your vote for whoever it is that you want to elect.
yeah. And I think the vast majority agrees with that because, with the absentee ballots and what they're pushing with, COVID and stuff like that. And there's, a lot of conspiracy stuff that has come of it that, is kind of a made up thing. Whatever. Okay, that's a topic for a different day.
That's a whole nother day, yes.
Whole nother thing. But when you start looking in between the lines, there is some truth to what's going on, and it makes you kind of step back and go, I need to do my own research. I need to,
Mhm.
and not just on news networks, because the media driven agenda, in 2020, 2019, even to 2020 and 2021, they flipped the script, maybe 8 months ago,
Yeah.
things started changing.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting how there's a common thread that runs through all of the news. It's because it's dictated by a very small few handful of people. They get together and they go, okay, you say this on the news, and we're going to say this thing that conflicts with the thing that you're saying. All of it's basically parody.
Yeah.
We're almost always watching comedy news. It's really no different than when like Stephen Colbert was on and he was doing comedy news. All
Right.
news now is comedy news. It's so non-relevant. Like when you take out someone like Tucker Carlson, you realize how he is no longer in the news because he was trying to do real news and they didn't like that. A
Yeah.
lot of A lot of interesting things happened around that time. But I would just tell people, you do need to spend a little bit of time and clean your lenses up a little bit and go do some research. Go talk to actual people. I mean, if you look at what's going on the news on X, on Elon Musk's platform, versus what goes on the news, you're like, very interesting. The two things don't correlate. So I think I love all the citizen news that's going, and I would suggest people definitely do your own research and don't just vote down party lines just because that's what you've been accustomed to doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really important because, when you create that divide, then it shoves you into kind of a corner and you go, well, I'm not voting for anybody in that party. And it doesn't leave open discussion for good ideas and values in which, Republican or Democrat or a Green Party or whatever, anybody coming to the table. At the end of the day, the big thing that I've learned over time, and especially, traveling around the country and meeting other veterans and everything else, the views of what goes on in the country and the way of life is significantly different sometimes depending on where you're at in the country.
Oh yeah. Like
And
a whole different, it's like it's a different country entirely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what it takes is, like, you coming on for an episode, you're on, the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast. And, even just your day to day stuff is going to be completely different, versus you go down south and it's a little bit more laid back. Things are, more of what it was back in, 2015. Um, yes, sir, no, ma'am. Everybody's respectful with each other. You take care of your neighbor, you take care of your friend down the road. And now, I mean the neighborhood that I live in, yeah, I'm good friends with all my neighbors, but if you venture a little bit ways down the road, I don't know who lives there, you know, and that disconnect that you have can go to the lack of understanding of somebody that you just see on the news, or you just see, some type of image. In order to truly understand somebody, you have to get to know them. You have to take the time, and not just take what you hear on TikTok or any type of social media platform. And it's very, very, very important to understand that, because especially now with AI coming out and being able to edit stuff, where it looks like they're saying this or saying that or doing something, it's dangerous. It's
Very.
dangerous for American people because, unfortunately, a lot of people get their news on TikTok,
Yes, a ton of
right?
people.
Because, people's people's attention span is like 3 seconds right now, and they move on to the next video, right?
Yeah.
When you look at the analytics of anything, it's like three to 10 seconds, right? And in that 3 to 10 seconds, they're absorbing whatever content, positive or negative. And then within the algorithms, if they start clicking on more negative, it just starts showing them more negative and more negative. And before you know it, their view of whatever is going on is completely changed until they can snap out of it and come back to reality.
Well, that exact thing that you're talking about with TikTok, in writing my book and, talking about what went on during the elections and big tech's, overlordship of basically everything that we do, it showed a huge bias during all the election season since 2016, all the way through this last election. It's
Mhm.
amazing what you do when you just research a little bit and you actually go look at data. You go, oh my gosh, like how have we given up this much control over, to Google, to Facebook, to TikTok, and we let them serve us only the thing that they want us to believe. I mean, it's like I almost feel like if there was a blackout of all social media and the news for 1 month, people would wake up and look around and go, "Oh my God, my friends!" You would look around and there wouldn't be all this divisiveness, because sometimes people go, "Did you see what happened on the news today?" Like it's an alternate reality. I'm like, that happened in San Diego, 20 miles from here. You act like it happened on the moon. They're talking. People in San Diego are talking about, "Did you see they dropped off all these migrants? Did you see it on the news?" I go, "No, I saw it at the border when I was down there researching it. It's actually happening." They're like, "Really?" I'm like, yes, in your own damn backyard. Like, get out of your house and go
Yeah.
actually look around and go meet people and talk to people, as you said. Because this whole on the news and in reality thing, people don't understand the difference, or sometimes the fact that it is actually happening in your backyard. Like, wake up.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it does injustice to the people that actually, get on the news or some type of social media platform to be able to actually put out, real content, because the agendas that were pushed before, nobody has any trust. Nobody has the trust for the news networks. Nobody has any trust for people that are in Congress right now, and it's one of those things that the American people want to get back to being Americans and be able to raise their families in a safe environment and live the American dream and not have to work 4 jobs just to turn the lights on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at like our economy, right, when you're talking about money, a lot of what has happened is consumerism has got to a point where even if you had enough money to pay your general bills and your overhead and be reasonably happy as an American, you couldn't participate in all the consumerism that people do. I mean, we
Mm.
get served ad after ad after ad and trying to keep up with this social media and that social media person. You certainly see it in the younger generations. It's ridiculous how much money people spend on literally nothing, on crap we do not need, on services you don't need. I mean, we have made it almost impossible for people to compete out in the regular world. I mean, like trying to buy a house in San Diego, your first house is going to be a median price of $850,000. What job with this interest rate do you have that you're going to be able to afford to buy a home? Like, how are
Right.
you going to do that? Why do you think people leave states like this? Other
Yeah.
than our horrible policies and politics, they leave because math. The math is not mathing for people anymore, and it needs to, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it goes back to, I mean, I don't think we'll ever get back to where, you can have one singular person in the household working to be able, another person, male or female, take care of the kids, and or just be able to have both parents, just work one job, in a median, society. I mean, you look at, the cost of living, has gradually gone up respectively over the last 10 to 15 years. But a lot of the hardships are coming from extra taxes being put on. They're trying to borrow more money from the American people, is essentially what it is. And a lot of people don't realize that like tax and social security was set up to be a temporary thing. You do
And
have
now
some,
it's like a prison sentence for people. Now it's
yeah,
here forever. Yeah.
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 And like, just for example, like South Carolina, a lot of times what happens, they need stuff done on the roads. They have an implemented tax for a short period of time to be able to get that done, and then it goes away. That's what taxes were originally designed for. But now it's just gotten out of control of, we're in debt. You know what? We'll just raise it, X amount of percent. And it hits the American people's pockets more than it has in, I would say, probably 2 decades.
Well, huge. And then if you just look at like, so what are my solutions for this spending? Because they raise all the taxes and basically everything just so they can spend more money on nothing. I think there should be performance-based funding for everything. There's a certain amount of money carved out for a certain thing. If you don't meet the first, it's just like a contractor. If you don't hit the first stage and you haven't come in on time under budget as you should, you don't get the next stipend. You're done. You're dead on arrival. If we actually treated it like a business, most of these programs would not exist. I mean, if you
Right.
look at just the ridiculous waste, then if you couple that with the amount of money that we have sent to the Ukraine, I'm not saying we never step in the world, because that we're a superpower. That's part of our role in the world. I understand that. But the amount of money we have sent there that we have no idea where it has gone, and we have sent money and sent money and sent money. When people here are starving, can't get houses, we have homeless, or we have an open border, we're just inviting people here. It's like literally Disneyland to get into our country, like on a fast pass that people get for free. And we're just sending money everywhere. If we don't start watching where the money's going, eventually we will collapse. A lot of this money comes from other countries that own us now. Like China owns most of our farmland. Well, why is that? Because we got money from freaking China, and we let them come here, and we've invited them here, just like all the illegals, to take everything from us. We did this on purpose to ourselves, and I would like us on purpose to undo it. That's what I'm asking the American people. Let's be purposeful about undoing all these things that have been done.
Yeah. Yeah. And, just to add to what you're saying, I mean, Kate is not saying, don't come to this country,
No,
come here and work and, work for the American dream, and that's what the majority of Americans are asking. Don't just come here and just abuse the services in which, America provides, just because we just, nilly willy opened up the borders and said, let's go jump on the bus. I just saw, and I meant to put the video just to talk about the buses, the amount of buses of immigrants coming over. It's literally like they hired a limousine company and just said, hey, anybody want to come, and bus loads of
well,
people.
I will tell you how it happened, because I went down there to migrants. I took my bodyguards down. I went down MTS right at the border. They told me this: 70% of the people they saw were from Saudi Arabia or Africa. The second the bus arrived, other vans showed up, gave these people plane tickets, a meal that was already prepackaged, a phone with translation on it, and took them to the airport. Took them to vetting sites so they could go and fly to, like, you wonder why New York and New Jersey are flooded with migrants. That's where they're going. So they're flying from their country to Mexico, getting bussed over here, dropped off right in San Diego, and taken to the airport. If that's not purposeful destruction of our country, I don't know what is. Go find the people who paid for them to get here, and I'll show you where all the money's actually going. It is a disgusting, ridiculous thing we are doing. In fact, it's really an act of war. This many people coming across our border from other countries, and it's treasonous not to prosecute it and stop it. 2 million people crossing our border illegally.
Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah, and I'll get on the subject of having to do with veterans, but I just want to first touch base on that. A lot of people don't really, I don't know if they don't understand or they just don't care to listen. It's dangerous to not be able to properly vet people coming from other countries, because you have the murderers, you have, drug dealers, child traffickers, stuff like that.
Terrorists.
Yep, terrorists. And it is a dangerous situation that our country is being put in. Now, on the flip side, what boils my blood and a lot of other American people is that we have 200,000 plus veterans ETSing out of the military every single year. And probably about half of those are going to become homeless. But yet we're funding other people to come into our country and say, come on over, we got you. Well,
We're going to give them more than we give our veterans. And I can tell you right now, in San Diego, they're filling up our shelters, our ERs. They're definitely getting a bed, and they're definitely getting more help on the spot than any veteran that's sleeping outside in a tent right now. I can tell you that with 100% surety, because I go and visit them every other week, and I know it to be a fact. So our country, we need people to go into active duty service. The second you are done serving, we're like, very well, carry on, and we don't need you anymore. Like, we treat them like broken toys that no one wants to play with anymore. And that is disgusting to me. The stories I hear from talking to hundreds of veterans, you would not believe the way that veterans are treated across the country, not just homeless veterans, but even by the VA. It's disgusting what goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's times throughout my life getting out of active duty, and then I went into National Guard, and during my National Guard time, I've been a police officer for over a decade, and seeing the homeless population, just in a town that I grew up in, to across the country. When I go and visit places like California, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, and you run into a lot of people. And me personally, I asked them, did you serve? What branch? What was your MOS? You give the veteran rundown. You can tell a veteran most of the time, right off the bat, and especially, they wear, a veteran hat or something from service or whatever. And you ask the question, hey, when'd you serve? And a lot of people don't realize, like, we go, what's your MOS? We know what branch you're in, and we ask, what's your MOS? You better give a straight answer because we're going to know, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
and it's astonishing to me. The amount of veterans that even in the Vietnam era, treated like crap, to even, and we're getting back to that now. And that's what people have to understand is it's equivalent to how our World War II, Vietnam, Korean War era veterans were treated, and that's why a lot of the VFW started, and that's where that transpired from. It's not just your local watering hole; it's a place of security where veterans felt safe, where they were around common, like-minded people, to be able to just feel normal again. And we're getting to that point again where a lot of the veteran population is feeling mistreated, misguided, and kind of just thrown out to the curbside. And it's a fight that everybody needs to take on as American people. It shouldn't take a terrorist attack. It shouldn't take anything like that. We should say enough's enough. This is America. We need to put our foot down. It's time for us to take back over the country.
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, my whole campaign slogan is demand better, right?
Yeah.
It's demand better from those in office, but really also demand better from ourselves. We're complicit if we allow it to continue.
Yeah.
Silence is complicity. So if we continue to just watch the train wreck and we don't get people off the tracks, part of it is our fault. So I would encourage people, it's time to do more. Demand better from you, demand better from the government, because I know I'm going to be out there beating that drum so hard, as you know, demanding better from everyone. But it really starts with us, the way we vote, what we watch, who we decide to be friends with. A lot of that has to do with the way that we think and how far that we get. But I do want to say this: if you're a veteran, and as you said, the VFW and American Legions were places for people to go to feel camaraderie. Those places still exist. And I know if you're our age, you're thinking, wow, that's for all the old guys. If you want to have that space for yourself when you get to be that age, it's time for us to go join those organizations, go and listen to these guys' stories, go get involved in some of these organizations. And number two, if you are at your house feeling lonely, feeling suicidal, feeling like you don't have the camaraderie, if you are not even a member of VetCom, get in our chat and let us talk to you. Let us point you in the right direction. Let us find you a buddy to talk to. Don't go any further the wrong direction, feeling sad at home by yourself in a purposeless life. Let us connect you and plug you in somewhere where you belong and you will feel safe and fulfilled.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a big thing, and I talk about it a lot, throughout all my episodes, even from the beginning. And a lot of it, stemmed the creation of Everlasting Veteran, because myself included, even though, my job as a police officer has a purpose, I lost a purpose for me as Ryan Landry, and as a veteran feeling like, I'm not connecting with people like I feel like I should. And a lot of it comes down to is because my mindset is different, and veterans have to understand it's okay. All right. We think differently, we operate differently. All right. A lot of people, they take it as, we're abrasive and stuff like that. No, we just get stuff done. All right.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And the
And
fastest way possible. We will shove a round peg through a square hole every day. We absolutely will.
Yep. And Marines, they're a spearhead going into the country, eating crayons coming out. So it's one of those things. Veterans know that when we have a task at hand, all right, use that warrior mentality. Get out there, accomplish the mission every single day, instead of saying, well, I don't know if I can complete this task today. No, your mission in life is to complete whatever is put in front of you. And there was a point in time where I didn't have that. I lost that. And a lot of it comes down to the everyday, in the military, your routines and everything else, and not accepting the changed person for you and showing everybody else who the changed person is, letting them get to know you again, in a different light, because you are a changed person. You're changed for the better because you see a more broader outlook of the evils in this world, and know how to conquer a lot more and be resilient even more
Resilience, yes.
than anybody else is going to ever be able to fathom, all right, as a veteran. So use that skill, use those strong attributes in which the military instills in you to be able to be the successful, strong person that everybody knows that we can be once we put our mind to it. And always reach out, to a veteran. And VetCom, I've been doing, looking at a lot of the stuff. And I talked to, I had Rob Garcia on last week, and we kind of hinted on this episode. We didn't say who it was or anything like that, but a lot of people don't realize. I mean, Rob hinted to the fact that your organization has been able to contribute over $500 million to helping veterans.
Yes.
Stats don't lie, right? And that just shows the will, determination of you, yourself, Kate, and your organization to truly be able to help the veteran community. I think that, people need to come together, go to Kate, for Congress.com, and go check her out, because she's going to be doing big things. She's not afraid to put her foot down and get in front of, any evil that, is going to come between us and, becoming America again.
I love that. And I really appreciate you saying that. And I keep thinking, I feel like people have been looking for a leader that will not only take the hill, but will turn over their shoulder and go, guys, it's time. We're going to take this hill together, because it can't just be me. This is a we proposition, because there is them that are already on the hill, and then there are the rest of us. And I'm going to tell you what, there's a lot more of us. And I will leave every veteran with this. So as you know, I was in the Marine Corps. I was assaulted in the Marine Corps as a virgin. So there's some of you watching that have been assaulted. I smashed my nose in eye socket. I broke my right elbow, my right ankle. I broke 2 ribs. I had a very adverse career in the military. I also was intelligent, so I was going to intelligence school at the same time of dealing with all these things as a very young woman, only 19 years old. And I have managed to run for Congress, author 4 books, become the CEO of a publicly traded company. Let your adversity work for you. Let it fuel you. Let it empower you. And I would say this, if you have PTSD, depression, anxiety, that is what makes you more like every other American. Forget just every other veteran than any other thing. Because if you go talk about trauma with a regular person, you're going to find out they had childhood trauma. They had some other horrible thing that happened to them. And you as a veteran can go and lift that person up and connect with them. And now you have a new person, not even a veteran, who you have something in common with, that you guys can help each other through these times. And you don't have to only rely on finding this perfect veteran, battle buddy. You have battle buddies everywhere you look if you're just honest with people with how you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. And great words, great way to put it. And a lot of people have to understand that, the stigma is gone. All right. Let's stop saying, let's get rid of the stigma. The stigma is gone. All right. Because you're now in a protected class. Okay. If people want to misjudge you, mistreat you, for your service and, your disability now, all right, they have another thing coming to them, because you're now protected. All right. And they can't take it away from you. And understand that, it's not a crutch. It's not something to feel like you're broken. All right. It's something it's a new you. All right. You're not broken. And we can together be resilient and push through and, be the best version of ourselves.
Correct. I love that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on. I do have to say that I do appreciate Rockin' Frenchies, my brother-in-law who owns Rockin' Frenchies. He's a veteran, Marine Corps veteran, actually, and a dog breeder. He helped me donate the first dog to a veteran back in July. This is his logo. Make sure you go check them out.
That.
Jeez. And then I also... Yeah, I just partnered with Meadow Ridge Wimes and Danes. They are on board with Everlasting Veteran to be able to provide service dogs to veterans 100%. The dog, the year's supply of food, and the training is provided 100% free to veterans. And I partner with breeders directly just because I know that I'm getting a good dog, and the breeders are able to say, yep, this dog, doesn't have these physical ailments, and you're not getting something, a dog from the pound. I'm not opposed to adoption. However, it's less headache for the veteran, and be able to get them certified as a PSD service dog. So I just want to say I appreciate both those breeders coming on as sponsors. And if you're looking to sponsor Everlasting Veteran, go to everlastingveteran.com. I do have 3 small packages up there. I do have custom packages and corporate sponsors as well to be able to help get service dogs out there. So, Kate, I appreciate you coming on. I'd love to have another conversation with you to be able to get people in the right mindset to be the best version of themselves, and be able to feel safe in America and bring America back to where it needs to be.
I love it. Thank you so much, Ryan Landry, for having me on. This was just awesome. Highlighted my day.
No problem. I appreciate you. This is Ryan Landry with Everlasting Veteran and CEO of VetCom and congressional candidate of the 49th District of California, Kate Monroe. I appreciate everybody.
Bulldog 3-3, patch 8 November, fire for effect, over. Enemy OP on Hilltop, over.